There are very few things that we can call monoculture in 2020, reference points for our American culture at large. There are still those who look down on superhero movies, and Game of Thrones is over, although the phrase "winter is coming" could see a second spike in the coming months. But even if you haven't seen a minute of The Mandalorian on Disney+, there's no way you haven't seen little Baby Yoda. He's the most memeable figure on the internet, and with Season 2 of the show set to premiere later this month, we're about to get a whole new array of reaction GIFs to distract us from the hellscape that is 2020. The Mandalorian has succeeded in large part on LBY's tiny green shoulders. The show is not just a commercial and cultural hit, but a critical one, earning an Emmy nomination for Best Drama Series. So, how did Disney and Jon Favreau create something so ubiquitous? How do they keep this adorable ball of robes and ears under wraps? And, most importantly, how does Baby Yoda make The Mandalorian a better TV show? Waddle into your floating cradle and let's figure out how Baby Yoda made The Mandalorian a hit. Baby Yoda's existence was notoriously kept secret in the lead up to The Mandalorian's debut, not appearing until the closing minutes of the first episode. This was not an easy thing to keep hidden from the public. Episode director Bryce Dallas Howard had to swear her kids to secrecy after they were shown Baby Yoda, and that couldn't have been an easy secret to keep. I mean, acclaimed director Werner Herzog was brought to tears by the little guy.
I've seen it on the set, and it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreakingly beautiful.
Instead of using blue screens or green screens like so many of the other Star Wars films, the crew of The Mandalorian built a special soundstage surrounded by LED lights that could project virtual sets in real time, using 3D models to adjust to moving cameras. This was a huge initial investment, but as a result, the show was able to keep its production and post-production crews smaller and leaner, and to keep wee Baby Yoda away from prying eyes as much as possible. But the most important piece of the puzzle was marketing.
Because the way the cat usually gets out of the bag with that stuff is merchandising and toy catalogs and things like that.
The secret was so well kept that Disney notoriously couldn't move fast enough to have Baby Yoda merchandise ready for the holidays, although something tells me they'll be selling plenty this year. But why was it important to keep Baby Yoda a secret? Couldn't you argue that hyping him up beforehand would have attracted even more people to The Mandalorian ahead of its release? Jon Favreau has actually argued the opposite, saying that the mystery of The Mandalorian is what makes fans want to tune in.
And I'm also glad at the delight that people feel when they discover something that they weren't expecting. Yeah. So hard to do that nowadays, not just in Star Wars at all.
That sell seemingly worked on Bob Iger. After all, The Mandalorian was the flagship show of Disney Plus's launch. But maybe even more importantly, this total lack of information about Baby Yoda let the fandom itself define him. After all, the character's name isn't even Little Baby Yoda. He's only named the child in the show's scripts and credits. He was dubbed Baby Yoda by the internet before being promoted to president of Twitter. He was a mystery, a blank slate on which we could project any number of memes. In the words of New York Times critic James Poniewozik, Baby Yoda, quote, was not something you could buy. You had to find him for yourself. You had to engage in the act of creation, and therefore feel that you had ownership in the viral guerrilla success of a piece of one of the largest entertainment franchises that ever existed. Baby Yoda, in this conception, was not some vulgar character to be licensed. He was a quest, a divine path. In that way, the secrecy surrounding Baby Yoda made him belong to the audience as much as he belongs to the show itself. It also helps that he's not entirely new, bringing both sweet hits of nostalgia and a fresh start. Adult Yoda has always been an enigma. I mean, come on, the dude is freaking weird. He talks backwards, he's somewhere between a frog and the Ice King from Adventure Time, and he lives in a swamp at the tender age of 900.
When 900 years old you reach, look as good you will not,
Even when we get more of his backstory in the prequels, Yoda is already established as the elder statesman of the Jedi Council, a renowned master who, for some reason, couldn't figure out that an almighty Sith Lord was right under his nose.
Do you think it will really come to war?
The dark side clouds everything.
Right there he is! Little Baby Yoda allows The Mandalorian to fill out Yoda's backstory and give fans information on his race, which has always gone unnamed and unexplained. He's an adorable remix of an iconic pop culture character that we have been invited to help define in a collaboration with the creators. Baby Yoda is far from the first cute critter in the Star Wars universe. In fact, he's just the latest in a long history of unintelligible bundles of joy. BB-8 and R2-D2 with their boops and beeps immediately come to mind, as do Porgs and Rise of Skywalker's Babu Frick, whatever the hell he is. And of course, who can forget the galaxy-saving Ewoks? Those Ewoks were the franchise's first blatant move towards selling cuteness. Before Return of the Jedi, animals in the Star Wars universe ranged from revolting slugs to prancing sleeping bags. But in Return of the Jedi, George Lucas pushed his designers to make the little teddy bears as adorable as possible.
We did 300 drawings of little furry guys running through the woods. A lot of them were troll-like or gnomes and all kinds of things. George rejected these, urging his team forward with the C word, cute. Make them cuter.
But what is it that makes something cute? Scientist Konrad Lorenz proposed the theory of Kindchenschema, which is a super German word for babies are cute. Basically, we are biologically programmed to love babies, and they trigger our protective instincts.
That was unpleasant. I'm sorry you had to see that.
In fact, it's their helplessness that we often find the cutest. Think of his little hand reaching out for love. Just to look at him waddle down that big ramp. Look at those ears poking out of the bag.
Do the magic hand thing.
Sorry. Baby Yoda, unlike so many modern Star Wars animals, is a puppet and not computer-generated. This makes the character, even on screen, so much more tangible. Computer-generated objects can feel obviously fake at times. But with Baby Yoda, you can tell that he is actually in the space he's occupying, with sunlight shining through his ears in a way that would require an incredibly tedious recreation process with CGI. And his movements are physically consistent because he has to be manipulated like a puppet, unlike his CGI somersaulting counterpart. The result is that there's no uncanny valley effect. Baby Yoda always feels real. Every time he lifts his big ears or droops his big eyes, we buy his pout that much more. All of that is great for selling Baby Yoda plush toys.
Shut up and take my money!
But what about the show? Does Baby Yoda being cute make The Mandalorian a great TV show? The pairing of helpless cute Baby Yoda and the gruff Mando is not a brand new concept. It's a common convention in storytelling that's been pretty prominent in modern pop culture, something that's called the badass child duo. Here's how the trope works in general terms. A usually orphaned child somewhere between toddler and tween is in danger. That danger often comes in the form of their being hunted by a dark or shadowy organization. The child possesses something of value, often the potential to become supernaturally powerful through the use of usually dormant powers. The child is saved and taken under the wing of a badass, a stoic, strong, silent type with a dark and troubled past.
Mando! They all hate you, Mando. Because you're a legend.
This character is often a warrior, grizzled by past experiences, and who is capable of defending the child by themselves with their street-smart fighting abilities. Think of how many times we've seen this trope. Logan stuck Hugh Jackman's old but still scarily jacked Wolverine with Laura, a military experiment just like himself.
She's a mutant like you. Hold on! Very much like you.
Terminator 2 sent the Governator back in time to protect a young John Connor so that he could grow up to become the savior of the human race.
All right, my man!
No problemo.
Aliens saw Ripley protect Newt with her special knowledge and grit, gained from surviving a xenomorph attack once before.
Get away from her, you bitch!
Hell, even Game of Thrones used this dynamic in arguably the show's best subplot, as the Hound protected and nurtured Arya in the kind of up way that only early Game of Thrones could really pull off.
What's your name? Rouge.
Thank you.
In The Mandalorian, it's the same thing. Little Baby Yoda is being hunted down by Hitler-stash Gus Fring and the remnants of the Empire because of the immense power he presents.
You may think you have some idea what you are in possession of, but you do not.
Mando, a one-man army whose superpower is his ability to take a superhuman ass-kicking, is Baby Yoda's protector. Not fully aware of Baby Yoda's powers, but determined to protect him at all costs. It's the contrast between the two that powers the trope and The Mandalorian as a show.
Stay right here. You stay. Don't move. You understand?
Baby Yoda sees some goodness in Mando, despite his nature. At the same time, Mando's hard heart is softened by Baby Yoda.
I didn't think I'd see this again.
Why Mando has a soft spot for Baby Yoda is still a mystery. In previous installments of the badass child duo, the badass has seen the child as a way to repent or atone for past sins, or as a replacement for a lost family. In Season 1 of The Mandalorian, there were some strong hints towards the latter. We know that Mando is a survivor of a massacre, and the Armorer even tells him at the end of the season that he and LBY are a new family.
Until it is of age or reunited with its own kind, you are as its father.
It's the tension between these two characters that promises to be the driving dynamic of The Mandalorian. Will Baby Yoda soften Mando?
I told you that was a bad idea.
Or will the world Mando represents harden Baby Yoda? Is The Mandalorian a great TV show? To be honest, I don't really know. I was too busy scrolling for Baby Yoda memes to evaluate it objectively. In the words of our own Jason Concepcion, Baby Yoda's cuteness can kind of be distracting.
Like, Mando could get his head cut off.
Yeah.
I only care about Baby Yoda at this point.
But The Mandalorian has great bones. Bones that have worked for dozens of stories before it. And it has ramped up all of the best aspects of its central relationship by creating the cutest character imaginable, and by playing up the mystery surrounding him to maximum levels. Let's just hope the answer to this mystery is handled a bit better than the reveal of the midichlorians.